Bob Sapp was one of the first guys that exploded on the scene that had a lot of athleticism.
375 with abs.
Jesus.
What are you? What is this new type of human being? When Minotauro got fucking pile drive, well, that's an injury you keep for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And Minotauro's neck is still fucked up to this day.
Listen up here. Hey. They may call you Kid Dynamite. You mess with me, I'll put your fuse out. I want him. K1 rules, boxing rules, or MMA.
Sign the contract, big boy. Sign the contract.
Our Sonny and Blood Punk, where you at? I'm looking for you, Mike.
팟캐스트에 앞서 여러분께 좋은 소식 하나 가져왔습니다. 드디어 대한민국의 보디빌딩의 상징적인 파워하우스 짐이 상륙했습니다. 그리고 이 팟캐스트의 촬영을 담당하는 프리덤 측에서 이 파워하우스하고 콜라보레이션을 진행하면서 프리덤의 페이지에 방문하시면 여러분들께서 파워하우스 짐 콜라보레이션 의류를 구매할 수가 있습니다. 지금 동탄에 소재하고 있는 파워하우스 짐 많이 이용해 주시고요. 1일권도 받고 있으니까 파워하우스 짐의 그런 분위기라든지 이 미국의 이런 보디빌딩 감성을 느끼시고 싶으신 분들은 꼭 한 번쯤 방문해 주시고 여러분들 좋은 추억 가져가셨으면 좋겠습니다. 자, 팟캐스트 시작하겠습니다. 네, 여러분, 팟캐스트 20일 오늘의 주인공 Introducing the Bob the Beast Sapp. How's bodybuilding prep going right now?
Well, first, it's an honor to be here.
Wow.
And you said it right.
Yeah.
Bob the Beast Sapp. So, yes, I am here in Korea. I'm invited and I've decided to participate in my first bodybuilding show, Heroes United, and that is taking place April 6th. So I am excited. I've done some prep, and maybe the Beast will be the new Olympia.
First, really honored to have you because when I was a middle school student, I've been watching your fighting, and you're like our hero. Not just my hero, it's our hero. Wow, it's really honored to have you.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here in Korea.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just amazing. Now, every time when you say back in high school, it just makes me feel really. So at 50 years old, the age says 50, but of course I still feel young. So which is why I'm able to do a little bit of competing, still just in a different category.
Yeah, you still look young. Yeah.
Thank you. So I managed to be without a tremendous amount of injuries than most fighters. So as you can see, I've still got all my face and stuff. Although my nose.
Yeah, wow. You
yeah, it's got the short bone and broken a couple times. So, but other than that, the Beast is still kicking hard.
Damn. I remember the day you defeated the K1 champions, Ernest Hust. Brutally, yeah. He was so intelligent when it comes to fighting, but I saw your physicality overwhelmed his technique.
Yes.
That was crazy, yeah.
So we're talking about, somewhere, I think when I first got to K1, so that's several years back. Ernest Hust at that time was the reigning K1 champion.
Yeah.
Undefeated for something like 4 years.
Yeah.
K1, at that time was the hardest and most brutal kickboxing organization in the world. They ran side and side with the hardest and most brutal MMA organization in the world. So they were kind of, hand in hand, two peas in a pod. I managed to fight for both. So one of the fights that I'm well known for is Ernesto Hust. That is the reigning K1 champion. And with 10 days experience, I had to go in and fight a world-renowned champion.
You beat him twice, right?
Yes. Yeah. I ended up beating him twice.
Yeah.
And I did so, not with ease, but I did so with the fact that I overwhelmed the opponent and placed so much pressure on him.
Yeah.
How much pressure? At that time, I was somewhere about 170 kilo.
Wow.
Yes. So it was extremely large and ready to go. And hey, when I'm large, ready to go, he had to deal with all of that.
Yeah. So actually, muscle mass you brought was something that we've never seen before. Yeah, especially in South Korea. So is it talented things or something that you had been pursuing?
Okay, so I think we got to go back almost to my childhood and the fact that I've been an athlete for such a long time. So I've always done some type of athletics and some type of sports, no matter what it was. And that was kind of my out as a youngster growing up. So it was always something athletic, always something athletic. And when I was learning, it was always something that had to do with sciences. So I just have always stayed in that field. And particularly with athletics, I just had a good time doing everything from soccer, golf, football, baseball. Baseball was exciting. I managed to hit the ball only one time in baseball for the whole season. And when I hit it, everybody went crazy. They were like, oh my God, we don't believe he finally did without striking out.
You ended up being drafted NFL, right? 1997, I guess.
Yes, I went on to sign with the University of Washington.
Yeah.
For football. I went on to the University of Washington with an athletic scholarship. I was a blue chip All-American, which meant I came out of high school at a very high ranking. So I had my choice of going to college throughout anywhere in the United States, all for free as long as I would play football.
So even you came to the MMA fightings, you've been doing a lot of athletic things like soccer, golf.
Well, no, that was before. So once I came into, when I was in junior high, in high school, that's when I participated. In elementary school, that's when I participated in every sport imaginable. It was just at that time. So that's where I ended up getting a lot of my athleticism from. It's from the different training in the various type of sports that I participated in.
So when did you realize that you are so different from the others? Yeah.
Actually, that's quite a unique and wonderful question. So I never really thought that I was more unique. I just always wanted to be like them. Oh. So where my athleticism comes in is the fact that I am larger and I'm doing those things like them. Yeah. So I was just participating and wanted to participate and just wanted to be like them. So I would always train harder and train like them. Now, once I got to college, they said, it's extremely unique that you're able to be this size and do the things that you do. When I ended up going to the University of Washington as a freshman, I weighed then 265 pounds. So that's roughly 120 kilos.
Wow.
So that's what I weighed when I was 17 years old, and I entered the University of Washington, which, it's a huge university. They have a tremendous amount of athletes there, and I picked there because they could go against big-time universities such as the University of Miami. The Miami Hurricanes. And, University of Washington, earlier this year, they had a fantastic run. I think they ended up being almost undefeated. They lost the last one earlier this year. So they have that history of being number one. And at that time, it was in 1991, they were national champions, and they shared the national championship with the University of Miami Hurricanes. And would you believe that a few years later into my intercollegiate career, we had an opportunity to go against the University of Miami. So you could imagine the tension and the energy, immense. And you want to know why that is historic? Because University of Miami had a 58-game winning streak.
Wow.
At home, yes. And they were full of stars such as Ray Lewis, who is a linebacker, famous linebacker. And I have a feeling you may know about this other intercollegiate athlete that I went against. His name is Dwayne The Rock.
Oh,
Johnson.
wow.
Yes. So, we actually played against each other out there during the Orange Bowl. And, of course, in the Beast style and fashion, the University of Washington won. And what's historical about that win? As an offensive lineman, I got a touchdown and said whammy in Miami. That got on Sports Illustrated. They did a tremendous amount of Blockbuster Video, did this video on it called Whammy in Miami. And, the history was born with how I was able to engage and partake in the media.
Wow, that was crazy.
Yeah.
So I checked your careers and I saw that you moved to the Japan.
Yes,
And before the MMA, you did some pro wrestling
that's right.
as well. So why did you move to the Japan? So we want to hear about the specific.
Okay, you know, during the NFL, I played while at the NFL.
Yeah.
I played this position known as ass back,
Yeah.
which meant I'd run on the field and they said, Bob, coach would say, Bob, bring your ass back. I want to play. No. Get the Gatorade, sit down. So, you know, I was far from doing a tremendous amount of, playing.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I ended up getting injured out of the NFL.
Yeah.
You know, there's the mythical, along with the beast, there's all these myths going on, but they ended up thinking that because I took a steroid penalty in the NFL, a PED penalty, that they think that I was kicked out of the NFL due to steroids, and that's no true. The NFL, they never kick you out for steroids and stuff like that. They just give you a penalty. So, I did receive a penalty, but of course I went back. I got injured out of the NFL. And for that PED penalty, that was at that time a very common substance called androstenedione that we were taking that was banned. So it went underneath the PED. So that's one of the reasons why if you look into the myth of Bob the Beast Sapp, where they say steroids, there's nothing specifically named. And anyone that has any type of knowledge of steroids or drug testing, they know that they will name the substance that somebody tests positives for. There's no such thing as you just getting a bottle and they just say steroids, and you'd get a penalty off of it. But but that's the myth. That's involved with that. But that's the reason why you don't see my name associated with any type of chemical. You just see, he got kicked out of the NFL for steroids, and the average person has no idea. So they just kind of let that ride. And of course, that's fun. So let them have some fun with that.
I didn't know about that. Yeah. So how your life has been competitive? You always been doing competitive things.
Competitive things. So after the NFL, I made some poor financial decisions. I actually saved all my money, but I placed my money with a investment broker or a fiduciary. A fiduciary. He definitely had far from my best interest in mind, and he took my cash.
Yeah.
And I was bankrupt. So I saved all my money. When I got injured out of the NFL due to my severe Achilles tendonitis situation, I was depressed, down and out, and I received a call from the FBI.
Yeah.
And the FBI said, all that money you invested with this individual, you are broke. We are investigating him, and you've lost all your money.
Wow.
So you can imagine being injured and then lose all your money at the same time. That's when I went on to have a little bit of more of the homelessness and things of this nature at that time.
Wow.
So one of my friends, Michael Morris, who played for the Minnesota Vikings, had given me some of the comments that were shared from a wrestler by the name of Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yeah.
Because I played for the Minnesota Vikings. So Jesse the Body Ventura said, I have no idea who this man is, but number 78 on the Minnesota Vikings, I've never seen such big, huge, wonderful arms, and he would be a professional wrestler 100%. So he gave me that information, and there was a former strongman. His name is Ken Patera. And Ken Patera called me and said, listen, I think I can train you to get ready to go to WWE. It's now WWE. At that time, it was WWF. So he said, I think I can get you into there, or you can go to WCW, which is World Championship Wrestling.
Yeah.
I went down and trained with him for some time, and he was right. He took those videos and he sent them off, and I ended up getting 2 recruiting by both organizations.
Yeah.
And I ended up signing with WCW in Atlanta, Georgia. So one of the first things that they did is Paul Orndorff and the other executives, they said, listen, we really think you have what it takes to be a star, but you got to really learn it. So he passes me over a notebook and says, I need you to be writing down everything that you want to say and everything that you see here. So I did that for the entire time I was at WCW. Meanwhile, the other guys at WCW, of course, they're playing around, chasing girls, engaging in various intoxicants, having, fun at parties. And I was left out because I was continuously studying my craft. Well, unfortunately, when it got ready for me to have what at that time was called a television contract, WCW went bankrupt.
Oh my.
Can you imagine the amount of disappointment from going from homelessness to a, yay, I've got a job, to, oh, no, I don't have one any longer. I did get offered a contract from WWE or WWF at that time, and they said, hey, we think you have what it takes, but you need to train yourself a little bit more. You need to go down to what they call Ohio or something like this back in the day. And they offered me $5 a week.
Oh my God, $5?
Yes. And, that's kind of, the hidden things of a lot of these guys. That's why they really work hard. Yeah. And the guys that really make it, they really, really, really have really struggled and really have made it. And so, it was $5. And obviously, I was unable to do $5 a week. There's no way I could do that. So I then decided to stay in Atlanta, Georgia, and do various unique jobs. That's where you hear about me delivering dead bodies from the hospital to the morgue and doing things like this. Wow. So you've got the whole little more of those unique situations that occur when you really need to look for work. One of which I ended up answering the phone, and a friend of mine from the University of Washington, a former #1 draft pick. His name is Steve Edmond.
Yeah.
He said, Bob, I have an opportunity for you. Mm-hmm. I think you should go into box. William the Refrigerator Perry. Oh, I was so excited.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you know why I was so excited? William the Refrigerator Perry was a former NFL great. I mean, complete superstar in the United States and in the NFL. You want to know what? He was my idol in high school. I idolized him. I wore his jersey in high school. And now I have an opportunity to knock out fight my idol.
Yeah.
Oh, I was happy and saying, what's going on? We got in the fight. I beat him in the fight.
You never done the fighting before?
I never did any boxing.
That was
ever.
your first
That was my
fight?
very first one.
Oof.
And so it was similar to like it was called the Tough Man. Yeah. Another former Tough Man gained some fantastic notoriety as well. And for those who may be familiar or unfamiliar, they called him the King of the Third Rounders. His name was Butterbean.
Butterbean,
I know. So he got started in the same organization. Yeah. So I was second. So he went back. So I ended up with that. Well, when I beat William the Refrigerator Perry, the crowd was throwing beer and all these drinks on me. So I said, I'm a professional wrestler. I know how to control the crowd. So I took my cup and took the beer. And threw more beer and took a sip. And I just enjoyed every bit of it. Because that's what we do, right, in pro wrestling. So I used the pro wrestling character.
Yeah.
And I took that persona in the ring, and it made those ratings go through the roof. Go through the roof. And so I go back through. And, of course, I'm excited. It's successful. I'm excited. Everybody's excited because that is my moment to shine, and I'm with my idol. And everyone is so excited because of the program.
Yeah.
And to see Butterbean. So when the program airs, I have a huge party. And everybody in the state of Washington. And it's just going, wow, we cannot wait. So they see me do the fight. And they love it, and they're cheering, and they say, wow, you won, because I ended up winning. And they say, wow, you did so good on the crowd. Now, there was a NFL great. He's called Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
And everyone wants to see what this NFL great is going to say about me. And I'm excited to hear what because he's a famous guy. I look up to him. Everybody looks up to him. Everyone's like, silence. Lawrence Taylor is going to speak. So Lawrence Taylor gets on the microphone and says, you know that big man, Bob Sapp? And everybody's like, quiet. He says on air, you're a nobody today. You're a nobody yesterday. You're going to be a nobody forever.
Wow.
And needless to say, talk about party pooper, right? Everybody looks around and they look at me. And I'm looking. Everybody's, man, see, and of course, that's when I was like, really? I'm about to show you. I'm about to show you who this nobody is real quick. And I ended up getting an opportunity because later I would then, of course, this is when WCW was bankrupt now. I ended up getting this job afterwards. So as I was delivering those dead bodies from the hospital to the morgue, I got a phone call. And that phone call was just an individual that identified himself as working with K1 and said, you are a champion. We have your history from when you were a high school student, and we really believe that you can do something special. And I thought it was a joke. So I was like, my friend, people on the phone, who are you? Yeah, we think you are somebody special. Yeah, all right. I hung the phone up. Listen, there will be a limousine to pick you up tomorrow. We need to see you in Las Vegas. Man, all right, whatever, man. Stop playing around, man. Everybody just, Lawrence Taylor just did some bad shit to me, and I don't know when it clicked.
So back then, the K1 is still famous.
K1? I had no idea who K1 was.
I
had no idea.
Yeah.
Zero. Other than the fact that Sam Greco was a famous K1 fighter.
Yeah.
And, of course, the other UFC great, Tank Abbott. Those guys were in the UFC. Tank Abbott was formerly in the UFC. He was at WCW, and Sam Greco was at WCW. So I was nowhere close to understanding what K1 was or Pride or what any of that stuff was.
They all lost their job.
They all were at WCW with me, and all of them either had a turn of jobs, turn of events, so where they had different options upon which they had to explore different ventures. Well, that was the most, and because I was so busy taking notes, I really never paid attention to it. They helped me with my fighting.
Yeah.
For my boxing with William the Refrigerator Perry. So that's about enough that I knew about K1. Turns out, Sam Greco also kind of gave them a little more inspiration by saying, just take a look at Mr. Bob Sapp. So after I hung up that phone, I just went to sleep. I was like, whatever, just went to sleep. Now here it is, 5 a.m. I'm sleeping.
Again.
I'm like, man, who the hell is who's got this damn, horn going on? So I just go back to sleep. Then, boom. They put my apartment is on the first level. And boom, the headlights are on in my window and the horn is blasting. I said, man, because it's like 5 a.m, it's still dark, right? I'm like, who the hell is with the damn, why is there a limousine up here in the flashing the brights and honking a limousine in the... I got in that limousine, flew down to Las Vegas, and I met a host of Japanese people. I had no idea. They're just all taking my picture and saying, man, wow, this is him. And the rest is history. How much history I later would pack for a trip to Japan for 5 days. Guess when I came back? 5 years later.
Yeah.
I packed for 5 days, never returned to the United States for 5 years. Is that amazing or what? In fact, I purchased a little cat, and I had, at that time, it was a serval. I purchased a cat, and she was like this little. Yeah. When I came back, she was an adult. But she still recognized me, which is great. But she was an adult.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely incredible. So, that's kind of the saga. And within those 5 years, of course, I would do some historical fights, such as the fights versus Ernesto Hoost twice.
Yeah, that was wow. You were full energy with the hunger, right?
Yes.
At that time,
oh, absolutely. Because I still believe to this day that you really don't need a whole lot of training for fighting, simply because when you're in the street, somebody's getting ready to mug you. It's not like you're going to say, just wait 1 minute. I'm going to go back home and I'm going to train, then I'm going to come and fight, right? You're either going to fight or you're going to run away, both of which you need to be in great condition. You need to be in great condition to run away, or you need to be in great condition to fight. And that's it, right? Wow. There's no trainers and there's nothing like that. This is survival. So I just took it as that.
So you had, back then, only thing you have is like fighter's instinct and the physicality. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, you were living in the Georgia back then, right?
Yes, I was living in Atlanta, Georgia. I was on my way out of Atlanta, Georgia, because the jobs and the money had since filled up. But it was all right.
You are also known as a very entertaining superstar. So you all those entertaining instinct is learned from the pro wrestling, right?
From the pro wrestling and from my college days and from my NFL. So one of the things that a lot of the fighters and even now that you see it with social media stars is that they kind of just get the camera and they just go right on in front.
Yeah.
I do have some training in speaking because I was able to do that. And they gave me the training. The University of Washington gave me this training because I did said whammy in Miami, and I started to become more of a media spokesperson.
Wow.
And then the NFL has you doing that so that you get yourself involved with, saying some of the wrong things. And so I utilized that and took that with me over to Japan. So that gave me a high advantage. And of course, I also must add the WCW does the same thing. So I've had years of training and things like this and experts and people to come over and do it. So that's one of the things that have allowed me to transcend into the entertainment field.
Yeah, your life is like the huge side of a step. Like everything you've been through is like...
Yes, going up, it goes up. And so, if you take a look at how the trajectory of my life, it's absolutely, even myself, when I look at it, it's amazing because it truly is, and so, and of course, Asia really knows about it. Japan absolutely knows about it. So, you've got from my trajectory from college it goes from high school to college where I ended up being a college star. Then I ended up being, then I did get drafted by the NFL. So by no stretch of the imagination, that is a success in, the collegiate level, right, in the professional level, just to get in there in a draft pick, to be a third draft pick. Listen, I was number 69 in the draft. Now, I don't know about you, but that's the best number in the position overall.
Yeah.
So I think we all would agree that 69 is a fantastic number in position to be in. So, I ended up, going number 69. So I love it. So that was a success. And then you have the success that I had in knowing professional wrestling, but within the learning education of professional wrestling, because I never had the true, television contract, but I was able to utilize some of those skills and learnings when I fought William the Refrigerator Perry. So you've got that, which is also something fantastic.
Yeah.
I should add when I was at the draft, or when I was at the Chicago Bears, which when I was originally drafted with, I was on MTV Road Rules. So that trajectory, all of these things trajected up. Then you have the fact that from there I went on to WCW, then to kickboxing where I had fantastic success, MMA where I had fantastic success, pro wrestling where I won the IWGP trophy. That was the first foreigner in the history of Japan to do so. I released my own album. I had over 400 products to my name, likeness, and image, including a sex toy. Absolutely crazy, right? Fantastic there. I made the cover of Time Magazine, Wall Street Journal. My fight versus Akebono had 54 million views.
That was crazy. Yeah.
A world record right there, an 80% share, and that's the highest rating in the history of Japan, period. So you have still to this day, and that's why the fighting day is December 31st. In Japan. It's because when the Beast went against Akebono on a number one reigning show, Kohaku, which means red and white, that show was number one. It's a show where all your favorite singers sing different songs and do stuff. Needless to say, extremely entertaining. Well, I was the one to defeat them. So they've never let that position go and made the fighting day now December 31st. So we have that, the cover of Time Magazine, Wall Street Journal. My first movie that I ended up doing in America was Elektra. My second one was The Longest Yard, which was the number one movie in 2006 at that time. Of course, I went on back through K1. Unfortunately, they ended up going bankrupt.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but the beast still continued. So I went around the world, and because professional fighting has no retirement, you have to set your own retirement up. I set my own retirement up by doing what many in America call at that time a series of taking dives. So that would mean that I would go into the fight, and the ones who really wanted to win, I would allow them to beat me for the revenue so I could take on the increased amount of revenue for my retirement, because there is no retirement in this. So I decided to fly around the world, travel first class, have everything accommodations, which was provided, and I would make, money doing this. Well, they would call that taking dives, okay? Which means, which absolutely is correct. So you can take a look at the fights that they say that I lost on purpose, which I'm going to say is absolutely correct, because now it's, some amount of time difference. So go ahead and think what my record really is. Now, if you really know what my record really is, now you understand as to why there's a tremendous amount of athletes that are 50 years old that refuse to fight me, because they're right. When it's taking dives, Bob could really beat your ass. So, so they make sure that they always avoid that. Quite recently, you've had one of my old nemesis, Mike Tyson, take on a fight with Jake Paul, and that's the reason why he's fighting Jake Paul with a 30-year age gap, or I'm sorry, almost a 30-year age gap, 27 difference, instead of fighting myself. But however, the marketing of the beast still remains strong. He is doing what? Sign the contract, big boy. T-shirts. If you look through historically, the big boy he's talking about is me. And if you really listen to what Mike Tyson says, he says, listen, if I fight him with the Marcus of Queensberry rules, I can handle him. I can beat him.
Before, if we fight in the Marcus of Queensberry, I love to fight him. Sign the contract, big boy. Sign the contract.
I'm signing blood, punk. Where you at?
And that means he can punch me. Marcus Queenberry's rules means he can box me, but there is no time limit on the rounds. So he's even modified his lingo, his talking, to make sure he's letting everybody know, whoa, no, in real boxing, I'm no stupid, but if I modify the rules a bit, yes, I can win. And he is absolutely correct with that. You're going to have to modify the rules a tremendous amount to have some success over me. So obviously, he ended up, of course, picking Jake Paul. We'll see how that goes. I don't think anybody thinks that's going to be other than a fantastic draw, and something entertaining, and just have fun on seeing how they go about setting the draw up. That is the draw of the entertainment value, absolutely. So I'm looking forward to, even checking that out myself. I think it's fantastic, but the beast is still going through, so everyone's a little bit confused. And of course, as you can see the shirt here, fuse out. I kind of talk about that when I said, hey, Mike, I'll put your fuse out.
So you said that you can come back to MMA with the right time and right money, right?
Yes, I can do it. I can do then with an exposition. So see, now that's interesting, right? So I brought Mike Tyson out of retirement and showed these legends on how the game is done for when you want to receive some additional income. So I'm the first guy that really brought that out, and it's funny, right? Because the Americans, in Western world, they go, oh yeah, we're not going to take dives. We'll just call it exhibition, and we'll just go the distance. Well, okay, whatever, because all of it means what? Absolutely nothing anyway. Yeah. So that's why so I taught them the game, they utilized the game, and that's kind of the history of how Bob Sapp is kind of involved in the fighting world that many people have no idea. And of course, you've seen when like Shaquille O'Neal got on, the bare knuckle, he called out two of the biggest fighters in MMA. He called out.
I always said that I wanted to fight somebody my size. There was a guy in Korea, his name was Hungman Choi. Or maybe even Bob Sapp. But I'm just talking right now. Look, I'm 48.
I'm taking you in both.
Korea's Hungman Choi, and he called out Bob the Beast Sapp. So, that's fantastic. And if you've not seen that footage, of course, you will right now, because we'll make sure we send that.
So one thing I want to take this serious is you just said that a few of your lost when your MMA careers is
towards the end.
There was purposely losing.
Yes, so we take a look at some of the independent shows, the ones that are outside of K1 and Pride, the ones that go around to these third world countries and things like that, where I'm fighting, once a week, or sometimes twice a week. Yes, those things are basically shows for the audience and for those hometown guys to come in there and win. And because one, they don't have the money to call you for you to come back. Second, they don't have the money for you if you get hurt and you go to the hospital. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Third, if you get hurt in the hospital, they don't have the money to put you in the hospital and to pay all of your bills at your hotel and your food for you to get back on the plane, for you to get back, okay? So, it's just a lot of assumptions that many have no idea about what fighting is. So I took that for the cash for what it was. So if we go to the future, we go back and look through my trajectory, you've got high school, college, NFL, professional wrestling, professional fighting, Hollywood movies, and then you say, well, what happens after all of that? What have you been doing after you collected that money? Well, I've retired in the tropics, and I have 2 wives. So, yes, that's 3 every time. 2 follow me everywhere, yes. 2 and 2. So I retired in the tropic with multiple women, and I retired. So the amount of, structure that went into my retirement, it was based on what I needed and what I loved in my life, which is women, 69 position, best overall. Okay, so I'm just doing it. Yeah, and I'm just doing it 2 times. So now I'm a triple. You know what I mean? So we're going around with 3. So I'm enjoying that, the fruits of my labor, let's say. So I have no problem watching everybody else sit back and, take either the brain damage or the non-financial lessons with them and walking out of there broke. So I just sit back and look and say, wow, okay, you guys are doing it rather uniquely, right? However, the cat is out of the bag, and with my various amount of high-level intensity training, I no longer train in the weight room using Olympic weights. I do primarily high-volume calisthenics along with different unique movements, whole movements. I use that. And along with that, well, that's gotten me quite popular, which is how I ended up coming to Korea and doing the professional bodybuilding shows. So, a lot of the other athletes now are coming back and they said, we need to learn from you. You did all of this stuff, retired with 2 women in the tropics, and now you look like this, and you're doing, and they're writing me, what's funny? They're writing me and texting me with apologies. I said this about your career, and I was so stupid.
Wow.
I walked through, I've got brain damage now, I'm beat up, I'm broke. I should have really learned from you. I was one of those fighters that made these comments about you, and I am so sorry. You have 2 wives, you're retired in the tropics, your body is fantastic. You know what? Can I learn from you right now? Is it too late? And no, it's far from too late because, you can only do bad if you don't do anything about it, right?
Yeah.
So so they start moving. So that's also what's made me popular in high demand.
That was crazy because 90% of South Korean people thought that your losing is like considered as your downfall, as an MMA career. But
well, I was paid, so obviously the payment, and I drop the ego, pick up the cash.
Yeah, wow, you're very smart.
So I just figured I just like to do things a little bit more simple. I just had no idea what the purpose of. So can you believe all those organizations that I fought for after the K1?
Yeah.
Other than KSW, guess how many of them are still around? No, I did KSW in 1FC. They're still around, right? Yeah. Here's the hint. They're still around. That's how many organizations are still around.
Yeah.
Of all those losses. Okay. Many of them went bankrupt shortly after they brought me in, and many of them went bankrupt quite shortly after because that's just how the nature of the beast for all of this fight. So now what's interesting is out of all those organizations, how many fighters managed to go on to other larger organizations? So they all ended up fighting for that organization. They got that belt, they got that title, they got the bruises, they got the punches, and the organization went this way, right? It went bye-bye, and now they fight for this, and this is what they got now. But they do have the brain damage and scars to show for it. And hey, look, they can look at the YouTubes and they have the YouTube views of bragging about it. Now they have nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
But other than that, and those trophies that you get, they're they're kind of like it's like a foil gold. Okay, so what happens with that is over time that peels off.
Yeah.
And that board that you got your name on, that the water gets in there, the moisture, and it starts to fall down. just like that. And these things are a pain in the ass to keep moving and cleaning and doing all that kind of stuff because you've accumulated so many of them. So so they may have that paid for trophy, you know what I mean? That's worth about, $1, but other than that, that's it. So, it's okay. They don't need to learn. Now, of course, the athletes are looking and learning. I will say one thing. They've given me so much respect back and stuff, and I tell them as soon as I say, well, stop looking at my stuff and just talk to me for a moment because that's going to make you. And he says, yeah, Bob, I'm looking at your stuff and it makes me so depressed. It makes me like, I should have handled my career differently. I should have listened. I should have done that. Now, I will say this. Back in the day, you'd crack up. These fighters, you look at these comments. They're making fun of me because I'm doing professional wrestling and Hollywood movies at the same time and saying comments like, oh, you're not a fighter. I'm more of a fighter than you. I'm like, okay, great. See where you get with that. You know what I mean? And of course, they did. And that's when you started seeing fighters going to professional wrestling. Now you see fighters going to professional wrestling. We were already doing that in Japan. They were just downplaying me. Now you see fighters doing the movies, and now they don't say anything. Now you see them taking dives. Oh, excuse me. No taking dives. Now you see them doing exhibitions, okay? And those things are worth zero, right? They're not worth anything on the record. That's the point of the exhibition. So call it an exhibition, call it a professional wrestling match, call it a stiff fight, call it amateurism, whatever you want to call it taking the dives. It means absolutely nothing. So they're doing the same thing. They just like to camouflage it differently. But they're all doing the Bob Sapp stuff now. Even the guy who brought me on his show, Ariel Arwani, talking about, oh, I'm more of a fighter than you, and I'm such a serious fight guy. You know what I did?
He told that?
Yeah, he did. But check this out. You know when Roy Jones Jr. fought Mike Tyson, and he did that. That was an exhibition. That was no real fight, right? That was a taking a dive type of situation, right? So you know what he did? He was the first to show up there and comment for it. Oh, yeah, he changed his tune real quick when that money was on the table, too. See what I mean? So it's no problem. Needless to say, everyone in the world looks at that Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson fight and says, that is nowhere close to a real fight. And here he is criticizing me about it, so I set him up in it and see if he would do it. And he's doing the same thing. Yeah. So that's what's going to happen. You're going to get a lot of these guys. They're going to always go back to the Bob Sapp manual to get their learnings for this entertainment game, which is great because you know what? You're going to follow the leader. So let's see this one. How long do you think it's going to come out? How long until it comes out with another fighter having multiple wives living in the tropics? I'm pretty sure we're going to see a little bit. We're going to see right after this podcast, we're going to see some other guys coming up saying, oh, I did it too. But it's pretty difficult to do that trajectory that I've done at the end, right? So I truly ended up regaining my overall position.
So now I hear all about your story, and then I realized that how smart you are. But back then, K1, you were truly beast.
Yes.
And you were
170 kilo.
Yeah. So some of them say like if Bob Sapp put his effort to like 100%, he could be in the best MMA fighters.
Absolutely. So let's take a look at that and let's observe that. Bob Sapp has the world record at 54 million.
Yeah.
And why do they always say that when UFC, which is the number one organization in the planet, only goes up to 120 kilo? Right? There's no opportunity for me to go anywhere.
You meant
so
UFC.
I think that. Yeah. So, however, you notice how come they never say, well, just ask anyone. Okay, that's fine. But who is your number one fighter that's over 120 kilo? Who is that? They have no one to name other than me.
Yeah.
So I'm in a category all alone, all by myself. So like I said, let's see how many guys can do that. Let's see how many guys have that trajectory and can actually, do the same thing, right? I don't think, now they're going to start bragging, hey, I got 2 women, I got 3 women, 4 women. Let's see how that work. Because, us athletes and fighters, we're highly competitive. So when the beast does something, in order for them to talk, they're going to have to do it bigger, badder, and better.
Do you have any regret of your MMA career? So?
I do have some regrets regarding my MMA career, and they always end up going to the same thing of, wow, I could have, I should have, which means I could have done better, I should have done better. And then, my wives turn back and they sit down and they say, okay, so how can you do better? And I'm like, well, I could be You got a world record. You got the cover of Time magazine. You did Wall Street Journal. You got 2 women and you retire. You got, you know what I mean? You ended up retired. You got no brain damage. How can you do better than that? I'm like,
That's
wife number 4 and 5, 6, 7, and 10. And they're like, no.
That's brutal.
Yeah, so that's just the harsh reality is that there is no doing better when you're in that category of your own because there's no one else other than in the Home Run Choice had some pretty good success, right? So then that would even still just be 2 fighters that are over 300 pounds in an organization that only welcomes fighters that now only welcomes fighters up to 120 kilo. Both him and myself, even if we have the highest skills in the planet, are unable to do it. There's a great power strongman out. Excuse me, and he is a phenomenal athlete. His name is Eddie Hall.
Yeah.
Okay? And he's huge. And where's he going to go? You think he's going to be a UFC ever? No. You think he's going to be he could possibly do a rise and fight really fast. But there's no longevity in the sport for when you're over 120 kilo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's pretty shame that they couldn't make the fight.
They don't have an organization for big guys.
Yeah. So my next question is that you are probably the most famous figures in the world. When there was no social media.
That's right.
But these days, anyone can be a superstar with the right time and perfect luck. How was it like being one of the most famous figures in the world back then? There's no social media, no smartphone.
Okay, so to cross the street from my hotel to go to McDonald's, it would take me 3.5 hours.
You never rejected it.
So that's how many people were taking my picture and how much it would start going.
Yeah.
Japan police would ask me to go out at certain hours so that there would no cause traffic jams. I'd have women jump on the taxi, take their tops off, and press their opire, their boobs against the glass. We'd have women jumping into the taxi to want to go with me. They'd have some. They would take there was one time we had a couch in the hotel room, and the woman gutted the inside of the couch out, so it was just like this. And I think there was a bed in there or something like that, so they took the bed out. And so it was an empty kind of box. And so I go in the hotel room. We close the hotel room, and I hear like a little scratching. And I'm just like, man, what the heck, man? They done put me in a mouse in a roach infested hotel. What the heck? And so I call over to my manager. I'm like, man, how you guys gonna put me in some? I can hear the roaches and stuff up in here. Come over here. I said, what are you talking about? There's no roaches. How are roaches and rats gonna get them? Bob, you're almost on the top floor, man. The only other floor after there is a penthouse, and that's somebody lives there. You're in one of the executive suites over there. So, no, I'm pretty sure there's roaches because I hear some shit in there. So it's just, I hear this little scratch. So I sit down on the couch. I'm like, man, I don't know what the heck. So I sit down. So I said, listen, there's some roaches. And I sit down. Itai? And he's like, what? He said, Bob, what you talking about, Itai? That means pain. I said, I know what it means. Somebody say Itai. What do you mean somebody say Itai? I said,
oh my gosh.
Little girl come in. Konnichiwa.
She's stalking you.
Yeah,
right?
she ended up getting in the room. She ended up sleeping. I have no idea if she was sleeping in that position or whatever. Anyway, she ended up being in the hotel room. So my manager came up there and got her out. We gave her an autograph and stuff like that. We were no rude, stuff like that. Actually, she was pretty good. I wish I would have, I should have, did a little something. But, obviously then, you're a bit nervous and you're like, wow. And it's more of a, Bikwiti style, more of a surprise than anything else. And that's one thing that, I've managed to do when I'm traveling around the world, taking those dives or touring the world. I got to go to over 150 countries. So I'm going to ask you, would you take the opportunity to travel the world first class, everything luxury, receive your little paychecks for your fighting, and no get hurt, and keep doing that every day for 10 years? And you know what happens when you travel that much? When you travel that much, you accumulate what's called frequent flyer miles. Okay?
What is that?
Frequent flyer miles is when you fly on these different airlines, and they have different airlines. They have Sky Perfect, One World, and so all these airlines, they kind of belong to these different conglomerates, a little mutual fund, so to speak, that they all put in. And so within that, you can if you accumulate enough miles, you know what you get? You get a free flight.
Mm-hmm.
So can you imagine the amount of miles that I have accumulated? And so you know what happens when you end up going to these other countries? You're flying there for free. Do you know what happens when you fly for free? Every fifth flight or every third flight, depending on where you're flying, they give you a flight allowance. So each time it started to kind of, you can see the amount of money that starts to be generated, right? Because the more that I fly around, then I'll get a free flight. Then the next one would pay for like they did my normal business class flight, and it would be free. So then I would just put that cash around there. Then they would just start all the way over, going. So I ended up getting, so by the end, I was getting, a tremendous amount. I was getting almost about $10,000 to $15,000 just to get on the plane. That's how much flying I did. So it was truly a remarkable and amazing situation.
That is crazy. Even in the South Korea, so everywhere you go, so a lot of people are gathering and notice you.
Oh, man, I love it. I love the people.
You never say no.
No.
Never
I have. What happens is if you say no all of the time, it just gets more congested for when you do say yes. So you really have to learn how to handle that. Being an international celebrity, that's one of the things that you have to handle. And that's also the reason why you very rarely see, if you even look at my Instagram, at Bob Sapp Official, that's my Instagram handle, you can see that currently at this current time, there's under 100,000 followers or whatever that I have that I communicate with. And then I've only got something like 68 posts on there. Yeah. And the reason being is because if I make that so congested, so much for my lifestyle, when I'm internationally and I'm traveling with me and my wives, there's so many people that come in there. We have to travel within, we have to now we have to call people, make sure we have security at different locations ahead of time. But that's almost impossible when you're going through things like the airport and stuff like that. And it's really something different when everyone starts screaming for you and wanting your picture and autograph, and you're at the airport and there's no security around, and then, and you go get the immigration, and the immigration loves you just as much as everybody else, and the security loves you just as much as everyone else. Yeah. Internationally, they don't have the same rules as Westerners believe that they do, you know what I mean? So it can be a bit cumbersome at times. Yeah.
So you officially announced that you will compete the Monsters Gym regional shows as your debut,
yes.
Right?
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited.
So now we have like 10 days until the shows.
Yes.
So would you mind if I ask you to show your current physique?
Yes, okay, let's do it. Let's do it. We're gonna have to do that. That's right. We have to show this a quick preview to see if we're doing well.
Mr. Sapp. Damn, wow. 50 years of age. Normally over 50 years of age bodybuilders shrink their arms, but his arms are very strong point. Wow, your chest.
Still gotta get the legs in there.
Wow, separated legs. Wow, I didn't expect it.
So I'm getting there.
10 days out.
10 days off.
Yes, sir. Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
So today's we have podcast sponsors called 삼대오백. So this is the black marker.
Ooh.
It's for the
삼대오백.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Ooh, black garlic.
This is for the men's stamina.
Oh, hey, you know I need the stamina. And I'm sure both of my wives will tell you they want me to last even longer. So thank you very much. Definitely black garlic. What do you call this one? The black
marker.
Black marker.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, black marker.
I'm pretty sure. So
we're
you're
going to use this. I'm going to tell you how it feels on how it is for when I use it.
Yeah.
But they're going to tell you whether it works. My wives will tell you if it works.
We need your feedback. Yeah,
Yes.
we need your feedback.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I'm gonna give you one
Yes.
capsule.
Yes. All right. So I'm going to tell my wives they got to look out tonight.
Sure. So
I got two of them. Are you sure I just need one? You know, I got
Okay.
two wives now. You know. All right. Yeah.
For me, I have one wife,
Yeah,
so I
so
need
you need
one
one,
capsule.
yeah.
But you need two capsules,
That's right.
right?
I need two.
So 10 days out, we need more extra stamina.
Stamina, that's right. Hey, you know what? And I can taste a little bit of that tablet coming down. It's pretty good. You know, it's got like almost like a little spicy kind of taste to it. So it's pretty good. You know, sometimes some of the supplements that you take almost a chalky kind of bitter taste. This is all right.
Yeah.
A little refreshing, you know?
삼대오백 is pretty doing well.
Yeah. Okay. So hey, we're gonna have to give you the feedback, and you know, I'm sure my wives will let you know.
That would be really nice, sir. So we have like 10 days out.
Yes.
But I've been watching the few YouTube videos about you. So, but you've been drinking food like
Yes.
so, and you ate 2 meals a day, right?
Yes. So I primarily between 2 and 1 meal a day.
Yeah.
What I usually do is, because for me, now of course I love steak.
Yeah.
However, and I love the raw liver. Nothing about Liver King or anything like that. I just love the taste.
Yeah.
I love the taste of raw liver, and I love the taste of, you know, the raw octopus. So I really, those are 2 of my favorite dishes. And then in Korea, they have that wine, the black raspberry wine. It's like a little short bottle. It's a little short red bottle.
Yeah.
Hey, that with some octopus, and that with some raw octopus or live octopus, and that with the, the raw liver. Oh my goodness! So that's one of my weaknesses, you know. So, you know, other than those weaknesses, what I blend 10 eggs up, 10 pasteurized eggs up, some with another 16 ounces of non-dairy milk. So that's going to be some almond milk or something like of this nature. 2 bananas and a salad, and I'll just blend that up, and I will drink those primarily all the time. And of course, I don't do Olympic weights and stuff like that. So all that with the high end amount of different calisthenics and things like that, that's usually my training regimen.
So you look much better than the last 2 months ago, like 3 months ago. But I think that it is really crazy that you are almost 300 pounds and you ate only 2 meals a day.
Yes. But you know what? It looks crazy. But if you think about how heavy I used to be, then you'll say, oh, yeah, it's no crazy because he's actually lost a tremendous amount of weight. You know, I was at my heaviest, I was 200 kilo. So I've lost that much weight.
It's more than 400 pounds, right?
Yeah, so now I'm down to, you know, now I'm at, you know, a good 130 kilo, maybe 133 kilo. And that's something I think that's great. That's for my age. You know what I mean? And so we'll look to, of course, go down even more. And that's more of a request, more of a demand by my wives to say, you know what, you're not even fighting anymore. Why are you even being this big? What is the problem? You know what I mean? And, you know, of course, I was about, well, I have to hold on to the image of being the beast. And they're like, no, you're about to be deceased.
Like I said, people, I'm conducting the bodybuilding video. So I just saw your physique.
Yes.
And I was shocked because normally I told you like over 50 years old age men shrink their arms normally, even in the bodybuilding wise.
Yes.
They've been doing like someone doing like bodybuilding like over 20 years old and over 40s. they got shrunk their arms and
Yes.
legs, but you still have huge arms. That was really crazy.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
So I assume that many people wonder that this bodybuilding debut is for just entertaining, or you considering this bodybuilding journey seriously?
So I will definitely continue to build my body and to go all the way up 100%. So I will see exactly how far I can go by doing this and in learning from the different legends of the sport and just learning in general about how to take care of my body and how to maintain those things as I age gracefully, I should say.
Yeah.
So, in terms of like, will I be a professional bodybuilder and go all the way through to see how enhanced I can go back through? I will say, hell yeah. And you know what my wife say? Hell no. You know what I mean? So that's one of the reasons why I'm only allowed to do all these high volume calisthenic type of stuff, because when it comes to the Olympics, and I'm sure they'll allow me to do some machine weights as well. Okay.
Yeah.
But we just don't have those. I don't have a gym big enough in my house for the Olympic weights, okay, for a tremendous amount of machines. So machine weights most likely will be okay as well. But when it comes down to those Olympic things like that, those get a big veto because what happens, and particularly with my case, because I am highly competitive, I will look at that and say, oh, I used to bench press 600 pounds. So I want to go back in there and beat myself or that record for what's called a PR or personal record or PB personal best. And so then the weight room turns to a nightmare for you at that point because you're always going, I'm no as good. You just keep comparing that. So we've picked a series, I would say myself, but obviously my wives made sure that they did too. They just picked a series of trainings that I would do when I was younger that I was limited at doing because at that time I was paying attention to the Olympic weights. For example, pull-ups. When I was younger, the most I ever did was 50. Well, now if you ask me, the most I've ever done is 1,000. So see, now I beat myself at my age at 50 than when I did when I was younger. So now and they're completely correct. Now I'm winning every day and it's so exciting to go and train. Other than that, it's no exciting for me to go into the weight room. It's depressing. You know what I mean? If come on, if I put 800 pounds on the squat like I used to be able to do, man, I'm about to break my back, man. You crazy. There's no way I can do that stuff. And if I could, think about what that takes. I have to go to a gym, make sure I have specialized spotters, make sure that the ambulance is ready, make sure all of this stuff is ready just in case I get injured. And where I live in East Asia and in Thailand, well, if I get injured out there, it's going to be a long day for somebody to take the weights off of me and in order for, ambulance or something to come through and do it. And on top of it, if I get hurt doing that, I'm going to get in big trouble at the household because they're going to say, why? You're not even a professional power lifter. So that's why I have to stick to some things that are more conducive to family.
So
bodybuilding's perfect.
Yeah.
Right? It's far from, I don't need to be a power lifter for that.
Yeah.
So, and I don't need to compete. I can compete now only solely against being the young version and being the best version of myself by beating that young self at all of those things. So that makes me feel real good because, if I was I'm just going to be the best 50-year-old I could be. No, I want to be able to be 50 and beat the young Bob Sapp, and now I can do so with the help, of course.
Now I have a strong feeling that former legends follow your Bob Sapp's journey.
Yes,
Maybe they'll follow the bodybuilding journey.
if they can, absolutely, I think they should because these things are fantastic.
Yeah, you love it.
Yes, I love it. I love it a lot.
So, pretty much every questions I've done, so it's finished. So my last question is, do you have any words to South Korean, especially bodybuilding fans?
Oh, absolutely. Get involved with bodybuilding. Get involved with making yourself the best version that you can beat the younger one in the pull-ups, the pistol squats, the bar dips, doing those at different angles, doing those at different tempos, doing something. Now, I love yoga, absolutely, but let's put maybe a lighter weight on the yoga, do it for different times. Do it for different times means let's say, for example, this is an exercise of lifting up this cup. You can do it fast, but then let's do it really slow. You know, maybe we'll do it with my arm this direction, and I'm holding a resistance band, so it's pulling this down. Now I just got to do this really slow. How slow can you grow? The more slow you grow, the bigger you grow. The more slow, the more you grow.
Oh, that's your training philosophy?
Yes, absolutely. Training philosophy, and it's you can put those applications in different and various. You can apply that in different, what shall we say, situations.
That's all about the podcast, and I'm really honored to have you, Bob Sapp.
Thank you.
Yeah. I have a dream come true, right? Actually,
Thank you. Fantastic. And as I step on the stage, this is absolutely one of my dreams come true. And as far as the list of accolades, come on, bodybuilding is every kid's and every man's dream is to go up there and say, "Man, I finally got this six-pack abs, and I'm finally able." That is fantastic, and I believe that now whenever people compare what I used to look like to what I look like now. I think they really are impressed.
You already beat your younger version of
That's
you.
Right. That's right.
Can't wait to see you on stage.
All right, I'm about to do it.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
여러분, 밥 셉이었습니다. Bob the Beast Sapp. Thank you, sir.
Baby.
Yeah. Finished.
Fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Wow,
thank
that
you.
was amazing.